An off-duty Defense Force Marine dies in a police-involved shooting, the Minister of National Security weighing in, and 50 Cuban nurses are on the way to assist the Bahamas. Good evening, everyone. I'm Tyler Simonet with your JCN News for this Tuesday, January 11th. Topping news tonight, a seaman of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force was killed by the hands of police officers. Minister of National Security weighing in on this incident. With more, we go to our Leah Cooper.
National Security Minister Wayne Munro says he's seen the footage of the police-involved shooting incident that claimed the life of leading seaman Rodney Adderley of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. The minister says that footage is consistent with the police reports. The minister's comments follow speculations and rumors suggesting that the police officer's account of that shooting early Monday morning may not be all truth.
And I want to be quite clear to people. The same people who jump to the conclusions, and the reason I take great offense to it is this. We fight very hard to vindicate a presumption of innocence for people charged with crimes. Yet we seem to be hell-bent on not having that same presumption when you come to law enforcement officers who are, on the face of it, discharging their duties. To me, that is bizarre. Now, after a law enforcement officer is discharged his duty or purported to do so, if he does so wrongly, the public has had demonstrated to it that the officers end up charged with homicide. There was a shooting in Exuma where the officer ended up charged with homicide. So why the public would have any doubt about that is beyond me. It disrespects the police when you say to people who you say they must put their lives on the line for you, that you're not prepared to extend to them the same thing you extend to people who are charged with crimes before the courts. The police will investigate. You give them all the material. If wrongdoing is found, regardless of who is the wrongdoer, they end up before the courts. And it's about time that you have that respect.
The Ministry of National Security, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force released a joint statement noting that investigations are being conducted, jointly adding that the video footage from police body-worn cameras was secured and viewed by both agencies. Now, the minister says that footage will only be seen at the coroner's inquest.
And it will show what it shows. As I've said when I've said to members of the public, that if they have security footage, if they have cell phone footage of any activity of the police, they're encouraged to provide it to the police who are investigating any matter, because it will be objective evidence to turn it from not a he say, she say, but something objectively confirmed. And all of that material gathered is sent on to the coroner, and at the inquest, which is a public hearing, open to the public, open to the press, it will be seen.
It was shortly before 4 a.m. on Monday, according to police reports, that officers from the operations unit were on routine patrols when they were dispatched to a complaint of a suspicious vehicle parked on Dunmore Avenue, Chippingham. On the arrival of the officers, they found a vehicle parked near a vacant lot and noticed a male on the inside. The suspect was ordered out of the vehicle. Once out of the vehicle, he charged at one of the officers. The officer attempted to evade his oncoming aggression. However, the suspect continued and attempted to disarm the officer. Being aware of the threat to his life, the officer discharged his service weapon at the suspect, hitting him in the upper body. He was pronounced dead on the scene by EMS. Calls are being made by the public for the release of the footage from body cams worn by police. Minister Munro says when the matter comes out, there will be issues around the mental challenges to the Marine in question.
The question was asked, why would you rush after an armed police officer? Well, the public must understand that our heroes are human beings just like us. They're afflicted with the things that may afflict us. And so just be very careful when we come to assess people and why they do what they did. The Marine clearly had a good service record, but we need to come to grips in this country that when things happen for no apparent reason, there may be reasons that should cause us to be concerned. And so a part of the introspection will be how we dealt with the Marine in question. There were a lot of welfare and social matters extended to him. Was it enough? Things like this are going to occupy discussions with the Royal Bahamas Defense Force so that we can be very sure that we're taking the best care.
The minister adds that in the same way, the corporal involved in the shooting will have to receive the same sort of counseling and support because taking another person's life is a traumatic event. He implores the public to stop sensationalizing these kinds of matters. The Royal Bahamas Police Force and the Royal Bahamas Defense Force want to assure members of the public that both agencies have a long and friendly relationship of mutual cooperation and will continue to work together to keep our country safe. Reporting for JCN News, I'm Leah Cooper.
Social media was set ablaze this weekend following reports of a fatal shooting incident involving police officers and an off-duty Defense Force Marine. Minister of National Security Wayne Munro was asked outside of Cabinet today for his thoughts regarding the release of the body cam footage from this incident.
When you release footage, it feeds the people who are prejudiced because you will see it. You have seen police officers charged with unjustified killings. If you still don't have faith in the police, releasing body cam footage will not give you faith in the police. Because if the chap being charged in Exuma for manslaughter didn't give you confidence in the police resolving matters, I don't know what will.
Munro also used this time to appeal to members of the public who may claim to have surveillance footage or any other form of visual evidence connected to this matter or any other issues of criminality to come forward and allow their footage to be used by police in their investigations.
I'm not impressed by people in the public who say they have positive evidence that will show the police that a police officer has committed a crime and somehow they're afraid to bring it to the police whose jobs are to charge people committing crimes, who've demonstrated that they charge their own quite readily with committing crimes. And so with regard all outstanding matters, if the public has any material, any footage, any camera footage, any cell phone footage, they're invited to bring it to the attention of the police and it will be factored into the investigation. If you don't bring it forward, it cannot be factored into the investigation.
When asked about the issue of body cams, Minister Munro says there is a pressing need for an increase in the government's body cam inventory. He notes that his ministry is actively seeking to not only increase the number of body cams currently in the field, but to upgrade the ones currently in use.
In meetings with the technical section of the ministry, we're looking at expanding the acquisition of the body cams that we have, and there's a body cam 2 that was demoed for me that permits the commander to view the body cam footage live in the field. Now that is a bit more expensive than the body cam that just records, but it's a resource matter, and so the officers with mobile patrol, they are fitted with them ideally. As we expand the inventory, we would fit more and more officers with them. Of course, there are some officers who won't be fitted with them, undercover officers and that nature. But as our inventory of this technology grows, as resources permit us to acquire it, we will expand it.
Minister Munro also assures the members of the public that may have video footage of police acting unlawfully that if you come forward with your footage and it supports your claim, then just like any other criminal, they will be punished. The Ministry of Health and Wellness was able to seconder 50 nurses during a trip to Cuba over the weekend. This coming from Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Darval. Now, in a recent interview with JCN News, Bahamas Nurses Union leader Amantia Williams told our news team that the training process for these nurses may take some time, causing a further delay in filling the gap left by more than 100 healthcare workers either COVID positive or in isolation due to exposure. To that, Dr. Darval says this.
My trip to Cuba, I was not alone. I took with me a wide cross-section of nurses via the council and throughout to try their endeavor best to pick the best out of the batch that can be put into service relatively shortly. I feel confident that in short order, these nurses who will come into the country, most who are specialty nurses, will be able to fill in the gaps that currently exist in our healthcare system. mainly in the hospitals, but also in our clinics. This is absolutely essential because despite the Omicron variant and the nurses who are out in quarantine and isolation, there was a shortage of nurses even prior to this, mainly specialty nurses. I believe this batch of nurses, the 50 nurses from Cuba, can help to fill in the gaps so that we can provide the necessary healthcare services for here in Grand Bahama, New Providence, in Grand Bahama, New Providence, and throughout the Commonwealth.
Dr. Darval adds that 30 to 50 more healthcare workers are now out due to either testing positive for COVID-19 or exposure to the virus.
Well, this morning we had a number of somewhere between 160 to 180, I can't confirm. And with that being said, we placed the new protocols in, and so probably today some additional ones will come back into service. And I'm looking forward for the new 50 nurses from Cuba to be a part of the system to help us. In the event that more health cares are affected, we would have additional nurses to be placed in while those go into quarantine or even isolation.
Dr. Darval says those nurses will hopefully be in country sometime this week. More than 2,000 COVID-19 cases were confirmed in the Bahamas over the past 5 days. The Ministry of Health and Wellness recorded for the first time since the pandemic began in country in March of 2020 the highest single-day number of confirmed infections on Friday, with 818 cases recorded on that day. On Thursday, 388 cases were confirmed, 291 on Saturday, 349 cases on Sunday, and 521 cases on Monday. That's 2,367 cases confirmed. 2,010 cases were reported on New Providence, 190 on Grand Bahama, 51 on Exuma, 35 on Abaco, 17 on Inagua, 19 on Eleuthero, 6 cases on Bimini, 7 cases on Andros, 4 each on the Berry Islands and Long Island, 3 on Cat Island, 1 on Mayaguana, and 20 cases with locations pending. These cases push the country's total confirmed COVID-19 cases to 29,489. Health officials noting that after further contact tracing activities, the COVID-19 case previously reported in Ragged Island on Friday, January 7th, and subsequently appeared on the dashboard on Saturday, January 8th, has been reclassified as a case originating from New Providence. Therefore, Ragged Island remains the only island with no confirmed COVID cases. As for the ministry's travel watch, a total of 341 of the new cases confirmed have a history of travel within 14 days. Active cases in country now at 6,195. 118 people are in hospital with COVID-19, 112 of them moderately ill, 6 are in intensive care. Fortunately, there were no COVID-related deaths over the weekend. Deaths remain at 717, with 37 deaths still under investigation. 394 people were reported recovered from the virus over the weekend. Total recoveries now at 22,387. On top of the country's ongoing battle with COVID-19 that has caused a global pandemic, Prime Minister Philip Davis asserting that the Bahamas is currently in its worst fiscal and economic crisis in our history. During his national address over the weekend, the PM noted that while we are heading in the right direction, we're still in a very serious place.
Them tell me what else we should be doing, because public education is starting. We're giving a free mask. We have free testing, right? We have strengthened the restrictions coming into our borders. What else would they want to? We have engaged more doctors. We've engaged more nurses. What else would they want us to do? These are things, Those same critics are the ones that left us in the state we're in. Short of resources, not enough medication in place. We have ordered medication to treat the COVID, which was not in the country. So what else? The list goes on as to what we would have done since we came into office.
The PM continued that the economic crisis is so severe that it simply must be a part of considerations as we manage the health crisis.
Let me say this. That's the question that I would have left for the medical experts who are advising us on the issue of why we would not. But I would think, if I were to give an educated guess, knowing that we don't have vaccines in the country for children, they are more susceptible to contracting the virus than those who would have been vaccinated. And if they were to contract the virus, the outcome would be far different than if they were in fact vaccinated. Do we take that chance with the lives of our children? I think not.
Prime Minister Davis notes that from observing the varying policy responses to COVID across the world, that there is no consensus, no one right answer, no perfectly balanced set of policies to address both health and economic concerns simultaneously. Instead, he insists that we must stay flexible, learn from the science and from the experience of other countries, and respond to the needs of the Bahamian people. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.